Greetings and salutations, everyone! My name is Fire Mage, and welcome back to Rimworld Ascension Take 2, Episode 15. If you enjoyed this episode, please remember to like and subscribe, and as always, mod list is down in the description. And with that, let's get into the episode. And here we are in the first episode of the medieval era. So, what are my plans now that I can actually start doing some good stuff? Well, first things first, I want to get smithing set up. Because now that we're in the medieval era, we're actually going to be dealing with real threats. So we need to get that going, get a smithing table, get some weapons, armor, all that fun stuff. I also, in that same vein of thinking, want to get a stone wall built. And I'll go over that in more detail when we get around to it. And the final thing I want to put on the list right now, it's a more long-term idea, but I want to start messing around with the Outposts mod, which will allow us to send off a few of our colonists and get more resources back, and not risk them being, killed as frequently. And the final thing we need to do is rename our faction. Now that we are no longer Neolithic, calling ourselves a tribe isn't really fitting, so I'm simply going to change it to the Neobecker Nation. Simple and easy. And that won't really change too much, but it's nice to do. Alright, so a fueled smithy is going to run us about 100 steel. I also would like to get a smelter built so that we can start smelting down some of the steel slag we have around here. Alright, and the fueled smithy is finished. Now, I'm going to start off very simple with this, and I think I'm just going to go ahead and, let's go with Gladius. We'll make 5 Gladius. That should be enough. Let's make sure it's not using silver. It is not. Using wood, though, that's fine. We can use wood. And there we go. The fueled smelter is built. And we're just going to go ahead and set that to smelt slag forever. And smithing has been set up, so we can go ahead and check that off. Honestly, that was more of a small side project, but it is important nonetheless. And so that leaves us with about 135 steel, which definitely is not enough. It also would appear that we have dug out the ideology room. But it is not done yet, because, well, right now it's just a room. So we are going to need to deconstruct the ideogram over there, build a new one in here, and a lectern as well, and some Neopillows, just to finalize it up a bit. There we go, that should work just fine. Oh, and we need to pick our research project. I'm going to go ahead and do complex clothing, just so that we can get some better gear than tribal wear. And there we go, the stone cutting table is finished. And while I could set it to make specific stone blocks, I don't really care, so we're going to set it to do any. I'm pretty sure our wall's going to end up getting made of limestone, though, because, well, we have a lot of limestone. Although slate is also a good contender for amount of chunks we have in the area. You know what, actually, instead of doing complex clothing, which is useful, don't get me wrong, I think we're going to switch over to complex furniture instead, because one, we need furniture, but the most important thing is, if I can find it in here, we can build a simple research bench, which will, well, research speed factor 75% as opposed to 25%. So, we'll actually get research done at a reasonable pace. Ooh, Coog can gain expertise, apparently. And it's in plants. Ooh, so what can we get? We can get plant work speed, plant harvest yield, pruning speed, or foraging skill. Well, Coog does spend quite a bit of time pruning. However, I want more yield. I think that'll be the most useful in the long run. In the meantime, the ideology room is almost done. This ideogram is just taking a lot longer than anticipated. And there we go. So now this area is technically functional. Technically. It's not a very good room, though. If we look at the stats, it's pretty gross. So, temporarily, I'm going to go ahead and just do a simple smooth surface. It'll take a while for that to get smoothed out, but overall, technically, the ideology room is built. Now that those two things are done, though, I'm realizing another problem I'm quickly running into is I don't actually have, like, a workshop for my smithing, and eventually I'm going to need a spot to do research, so I'm going to throw those up on the list real quick. There we go. 2 more things. Build a blacksmith and build a lab. Now, we're probably going to want to put those 2 things near the warehouse, but not too close, as I do eventually need to expand that. So, I think we're going to... Oh, man. There really isn't a lot of places to put those kind... I mean, it doesn't need to be that big, though, I suppose, so... We could just put something simple here, maybe. Yeah, we'll do this. This will be the little smith. The blacksmith. Of course, we can actually, now that I'm thinking about it, go ahead and maybe round the corners a little bit. There we go. Haven't done anything with the diagonal walls in a little bit. Oh, I should also probably put a floor down. We'll just go with a simple wood floor, just for now, until we can get some more resources. And it looks like the blacksmith has been built. All we're waiting on is the steel to build a smithing cabinet. But I'll go ahead and mark it off. Go ahead, fill back in that spot for storage. And so that is our little thing, our little blacksmith. Let's go ahead and actually change the graphic on this real quick so it's a little bit more medieval. There we go. So, that now means we have a proper blacksmith where we can make actual weapons and armor. It's pretty cool. Alright, well, with the blacksmith finished, I think it's time to start laying out the basic concept for the wall. So, I'm going to be doing these limestone castle walls. Now, they each cost 20 bricks, which is a lot more expensive than normal walls, but it is worth it for the added durability and, of course, style points. So, the first area I think I'm going to do is up here. It's the shortest path between 2 areas, so should be the easiest spot to do it. And, of course, we have to account for potential future expansion. So we'll go with something like this. And that will be the first wall we make. And it is not going to be cheap. But it will cut off this avenue for attack. And keep them away from our goats. You know what? I'm going to build a second stone cutting table. We have a lot of stone chunks, and I would like to get the wall done decently soon, so a second one of those will greatly speed up our process there. Also, for the lab, I think I'm just going to convert this into the lab, just because. Save us some efforts there. We won't count it as built until we actually get the research benches, but it'll make for a decent lab, I think. It looks like Crow has already begun work on the wall. Look at that. That is 1,500 hit points compared to a wooden wall's 195. So I'd certainly say it will be a good defensive measure. So the basic idea I have for the wall is I'm actually only going to have an entrance on the river. So I'm going to need to build a bridge. But that way, any enemies have to cross the river, which will slow them down, or they have to cross the bridge, which will funnel them into a very tight area. So, It should work decently well unless they decide to try to breach the walls, but they're going to be so durable that it'll give us time to mount a response. And here is our first negative of the medieval era. It's a faction assault. Looks like it's between the Eastern Republic and the fire home of Too Many Z's. Alright, so that's actually beneficial, because we can either aid them, or we can wait until it's done and take what we want afterwards. So, looks like these guys are about Roman era, 17 of them. And where are the other guys? Are they on the other side of the river? They are. There are 11 of them. Oh, and they're all carrying melee weapons. I have a feeling this is going to end very poorly for the fire home of Too Many Z's. They're outnumbered and outranged. So. Oh, and here they go. They're attacking each other. Alright, doesn't look like any of our people are in the way, so guess we'll just watch this. I'm not even sure I can call it a battle. Although, maybe I'll be surprised. I mean, the fire home of Too Many Z's is holding up well, but in the end, it looks like they lost. Alright, well, am I able to rescue? I am able to rescue. Alright. Well, in that case, let's go ahead and rescue as many of these guys as we can. Let's see, this guy's unwaveringly loyal. Well, I won't bother with him in that case. But, Agrippina here is injured, and I am friends with these people, so we'll go ahead, rescue, and bring him in. And complex furniture has been researched. We can finally actually make some decent stuff. Now, I think I'm going to go for grilling next. Originally, as I started earlier on, I was going to go with complex clothing. However, we have a lot of meat, and grilling is really good, so I think we're going to start doing that. It does mean we'll need to make our kitchen bigger, but that is a-okay. Alright. There it is, the simple research bench. Finally, we will be able to do some real research. We'll build 4 of them. That should prove to be more than enough. Of course, we need more wood for that, and we currently have no wood. I think tilling the soil is keeping all of our plant experts from going and harvesting the wood. Well, it would appear that we are completely out of storage space. So, that means that we are now at the problem of needing to expand this. Now, while I could expand the structure itself, I can now build shelves, which is exactly what I'm going to do. Now, I'm not going to build the very big shelves, because those take steel, but a normal big shelf should do just fine, I think. So how do we want to do this? Something like this? Yeah, that'll work. So we'll build something like that. That'll increase our storage quite a bit, I think. And it looks like our first research bench is also finally getting built. There it is. A proper research bench, and no longer just sitting on the floor. Excellent. Oh, and the refugees are leaving. Alright. Well, as sad as that is, I'm glad we were able to help them, and I am glad that they were so useful. Those extra hands really did come in handy there. Allowed us to get a lot more work done. Let's also go ahead and build a weapons cabinet. We'll put it in here so that the weapons that are made can just be shoved in there, but I'm noticing a lot of our storage space is actually just being taken up by an obscene amount of weapons that we just have lying about, which we should also probably divvy out to our colonists, now that I'm thinking about it. Alright, let's see. So, Sappy, you have high melee, so you can go equip the Breach Axe. You have a decent melee. Go ahead and equip a Wood Gladius. Let's see. We don't really have a lot of people who are the best with melee, which is a shame. There we go. That's a bit better in terms of weaponry. Still not the best, though. Oh. And Agrippa has become a guest. And I believe she is immediately leaving, but that's good. So hopefully that'll get us a little bit more reputation with the Eastern Republic for helping her. Let's see. When she leaves the map, do we get any bonuses? And we do! From 0 to 15. Ooh, gotta love it. Goes to show, being nice is beneficial sometimes. Ooh, Dunalisk Clutch Mother. Yikes. That is gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a very potent problem. And I am going to solve it with extreme amounts of violence. Let's go ahead and go start preparing to obliterate it. Let's make sure everyone is full up on ammo. Seems like it. Alright. Alright, Sam, you have the longest range weapon, so you can go ahead and aggro it. That was a tink. Tinks are not good. Alright. Let's see. What is the range on the recurves? A little bit too short. There we go. Alright. And there it goes. And now it's revenging. And now we need to start moving so that we don't get stunned. Alright, it's gonna try to fight us in the water. This is where we have the advantage. Alright, let's try to make sure we don't accidentally shoot any of our organs out this time around. And there we go. Ah! Not too bad for the first hostile event that actually was a real threat to us. We'll finish it off, and that's that. Inspired Taming White. Well, isn't that interesting? White will successfully tame the next animal regardless of difficulty. White has enough skill to tame a Thrumbo. I think I have an idea. In the morning, when the Thrumbo wakes, White is going to go instant tame it, and we will have our Thrumbo returned to us. And with the sun finally up, let's go ahead and tame that Thrumbo. Finally, after getting it and then losing it, we have finally reacquired it. And there we have it. Our Thrumbo is back and ready to be fully trained. And that is where I'm going to leave this episode off. A lot of progress done today. We got the first bit of the wall being built, the blacksmith, research benches, all sorts of good stuff. And I have a lot of stuff that I've been wanting to do, and now I can do because I have actual furniture. So we're going to have a lot of projects going on, and the biggest holdup, I think, is going to end up just being building resources. As for the potential raids that are most certainly going to be happening sometime in the future, we're just going to have to deal with it as it comes. But hopefully they won't be too bad, and we can just keep getting these smaller events. But knowing my luck, we're going to get obliterated at some point soon. With all that said and done, though, I will see you all in the next episode.